Hello and welcome back to the Smoke Room Murdoch route. We will be concluding his route, like literally concluding it. This is the last video. You don't have to worry about any bad route or anything anyways. So yeah. Anyways, so last we saw, Harlan, the bartender from the hip, decided to poison everyone. And thankfully, Samuel was smart enough to notice, along with Ralph. Unfortunately, Ralph had to drink some of it because Harlan knew that Ralph was a chemist, so he knew that he would probably be able to suss out the poison from the water that they were drinking. And unfortunately, he was poisoned. And everyone was, I guess, sort of slowly dying. But Samuel was able to create the cure, and now everyone is safe. Unfortunately, and after having an argument with Murdoch about his recklessness and everything else, somebody seems to have been in the underground area with them, so now they're going to be confronted by that. Also, what's her name? Blythe took care of Harlan, who seemed to have been possessed by the echo or the ghost or whatever of Jim Hendrix I. And again, if you're wondering why I'm saying Jim Hendrix I, it's because obviously the tunnel, the thing that they're in, contains the remains of Jim Hendrix the First's victims. And when what's her face again had her little moment, she saw the Hendrix the First in the way that you see Carl the First, Carl possessed. So yeah, you know, it was him. So yeah. Anyways, so yeah. Without further ado, let us conclude the Murdoch route. Both of us freeze. Murdoch's father is standing in the cellar doorway. He has a gun and he's pointing it at the both of us. Father? What are you doing here? Don't play stupid, Murdy. This is a locked room. Only I and your mother knew the code. Then why was there another man in here? Alfred looks genuinely surprised. There shouldn't be. Harlan Perkins. The bartender from the hip? Oh. Him. Dad, what do you mean him? If he was here, he wasn't supposed to be. He has an arrangement with your mother and I. But this was supposed to be off limits. Off limits for what purpose? You already know the answer, Murdoch. Just play dumb. I think that you know. How long have you been down here? Does it matter? Are you an idiot? Of course it damn matters. What have you seen? It's strange being in the room with the gun pointed at me, but feeling a little forgotten. I don't think that he sees me as a person anymore. But is he going to underestimate me, or is he just going to shoot me? I don't really know which. I don't like the unpredictability. We found the remains. Which remains? He doesn't sound surprised when he asked. Below the rooms with the eyes. He nods. The people who founded this town knew James I was a sick one. They just never had the proof. We did, son. That's just one of the things that kept this family strong. Nobody else had it in them to keep those vampires on the hillside in check but us. We found their weakness and brought them to heel. And you'll be taking the secret to the grave, so bury it in your head and then prance onward with your merry little distractions. Have I made myself clear? Murdoch doesn't speak for a while. He opens his mouth to talk, but no words come out. Good. Now quit your complaining and be grateful for what we have done. Dad. What, Murdoch? Why is your sleeve covered in blood? It's not a little bit. And by the looks of his arm, it isn't his. I was in a fight. Lots of blood for a fight. It was a bad fight. But what are you doing down here? Alfred stands there sheepishly. It doesn't matter. But it does, though. His father raises his hand and takes a step towards him. Stop. Murdoch looks bewildered. It's not your place to question me. About anything. Ever. Murdoch keeps staring at the bloodstain on his father's arm. But no buts. Don't you see why? I told you to stop talking. He shuts his mouth. I clothe you. I feed you. I sheltered you for most of your life. I employ you. So much of what I have done has been for you. So it's time for you to start acting like it. Murdoch's mouth opens. Then it closes. I don't disagree with any of that. But what does it have to do with Murdoch? You're going to go through the cellar, back into the basement, and up the stairs. You will wait for your mother and your older sister. And we are going to wait this fire out. Together. As a family. Which door did you come from, Dad? Alfred sighs. Why do you need to know, son? Because I asked you. I think you should show me. I don't think that I'm going to. It sounds like there's a reason why you don't want to show me. Alfred smacks his paw on the wall. Let it lie, son. All you have to do is leave it be. If it's so simple, then why can't you tell me? Why can't you tell me anything? Because I love you, son. What? Because I love you and I know what's best for you. You've never said that before. Well, I'm saying it now. I love you and you should listen to me. If I show you what's in that room, it'll only upset you. And it will upset your sister. And it will upset your mother. Your friend doesn't want you to stay here very much longer either. Does he? He looks at me. No. Sam? Not really, sir. Alfred smiles. You see? This is how things should be. Now, is there anybody else down here? Surely your other friend is around here somewhere. Maybe Holly's fiancé too? You were together after all. They all ran away. During the fire. Of course they did. Jim's a resourceful boy. His friends are able men. Let's go back upstairs, Murdoch. Let's go and be happy. Murdoch doesn't move. I won't ever be happy around you if you don't show me that room. Fool. You think I'm lying? Alfred frowns. I think you're acting spoiled. You lose your temper when you don't get your way. I'm calm, Dad. If you don't show me what's in that room, then I will never talk to you again. I will leave town. Is that really true? It is. And how's that fair to the rest of the family? You'll have to manage without me. I will never be able to look at you again. Unless you see the room? Murdoch nods. Unless I see the room. Alfred turns and a scowl creeps up the corner of his snout. This is the moment of your life where you're going to show me what your word actually means. You can't go back on it if you want me to see you as a man. I'm going to ask you one last time. Are you sure that you're really wanting me to show you the door? Yes. Murdoch doesn't hesitate in the slightest. Alfred looks down and he puts his paw in his front pocket. Then he looks back at Murdoch. Things won't ever be the same if we do this. things haven't been the same for a very long time. He nods. Very well. He points at the third door on the left. It's this one. Open it for me. The older fox hobbles over to the right passage and pulls on the handle. Murdoch steps forward. It's not a small chamber like the rest of the rooms. Rather, it's another chamber before what looks to be a cave passage. But what has my attention isn't the doorway. It's the piles of bodies stacked on top of one another. Most of them look shriveled and old, but one of them is fresh. On the floor, there was Reed Morris, but he isn't breathing. His entire throat is gone. What is this? You know exactly what it is. Don't you think that it's time that you grew up? But these are people. Were people. Do you think that makes them precious? What? I think that I can explain. Mother? This man, Reed Morris, helped one of the town bankers, Mr. Green, financially entrap and rape his wife for over 2 decades. She points to another one of the corpses, a polecat whose skin is bare and shriveled, as though the water was sucked right out of him. This man, Brandon Hennessy, didn't commit any sexual crimes to my knowledge, but he did steal the inheritance left to his late wife, Merrill, after he had her institutionalized under exaggerated charges. She points out a bear whose nose has rotted off his face. This one strangled both of his wives and walked the earth for 7 years after. She walks over to a kid fox whose mouth is so dry that there are more teeth than anything else of it. This one was embezzling the school's education funds for gambling. Spare me the sanctimony and drop the surprised act. Mother. I'm not acting. She crosses her arms and looks him up and down. Sometimes I wonder. Performance or no, I don't think that you're surprised to see me here, are you? After all, you are here, aren't you? Either you lurked around long enough to find it, or if not that, then somebody must have told you the combination. She eyes her husband. Or somebody left it lying around somewhere. I didn't leave it anywhere. Do you know how many times you've lost your glasses in the bedroom? Sometimes I think that you'd lose your head if it weren't attached. Is this really the time for this? The parents turn their heads to me. They both look like they're sizing me up. Finally, the mute speaks. We have all the time in the world until the smoke clears out. Nobody's going very far tonight now, are they? And it's not like you have much room to talk, Mr. Ayers. I stiffen up a bit. And what's that supposed to mean? Jack Abner was you, was he not? I feel my blood run cold. What? Not the best kept secret, but a secret all the same, is it not? I feel my heart start beating rapidly in my chest. She's lying. No. The sightings and the testimonies of each witness are quite tightly aligned with the time frame. I'd say that you get the news if somebody were to take it to court. How did she know? Who told her? Was I really that obvious? I thought the only one who saw me was Nick. But I haven't seen him for weeks. Don't believe a word she's saying, Murdoch. I didn't murder Jack Abner. She gives me a suspicious look. But you did kill him. That's rather well established in my sources. Frankly, there's no need for a fuss. He was also on my list. Why? That sounds like a question that you only ask about somebody that you knew. So, did you know him? Sweet Mary. You didn't even mean to do it, did you? And here I was looking for common ground. I don't want to kill people. I mean, sometimes I think I do. Well, that's a start. I'm not looking to start wanting to. Do you really think taking life is the worst thing that somebody can do? What? I'm requesting that you put your emotions to the side for the time being and consider some things. Our own government kills people all the time. Surely you know that. Sometimes they're in uniforms. Sometimes they're in business suits. When you live in a world surrounded by enemies, family is who you must trust to survive. That's right. Amen. I like you very much, Mr. Ayers, but you're obviously seen too much. So you know that means that we're going to have to come to some sort of agreement with you. You could cooperate with us, and we could all walk out of here alive. Or you could choose to die in this hole because the concept of loyalty eludes you. She holds out a paw to me. Well? I just stare at it for a moment. I feel like all the people in the pile are staring at me, even though they don't have eyes anymore. I don't know if I could live with myself if I did that. Maybe I'd survive a little longer, but I don't think my soul would. The edge of her snout tightens a little deeper. There's something that I can respect at least. But I think that you're mistaken about something. Warfare isn't murder, Mr. Ayers. Not all lethal force is sin. Each of those men were killing this community in some way or another with outright malice. But you don't think killing me is a problem? Have you paid no attention? I am not trying to kill you. But you will if I don't agree to keep quiet. It would be a threat to the work at hand, yes. I'm giving you options. But if you wanted to walk the path of a martyr for some misguided sense of spiritual exaltation, there are painless ways to go, you know. Much nicer ways than a bullet. I see her reaching into her purse. She pulls out a crystal bottle with an ornate-looking top. I'm rather good at making painless potions. What she's saying feels like cold ice crawling up my leg. They're gentle, even though they are inevitable. If you take this, it will feel like going to sleep. I almost let out a laugh. I see where Harlan got the poison from. They've been working together. I just saved everybody from this. And now I'm the one who's supposed to drink it? You're out of your mind. Gretchen shakes her head. I promise it's not personal. I am not adverse to using the way that's not so nice if you were to put up a struggle. But something tells me that you're not going to. And why's that? Because you know that even if you run out of here and make this all public, that I'll still be able to manage a better press than you. Because you are factually guilty of your own crime, and it will get you the noose. So, is it starting to make sense yet? You're going in the same direction. It's just up to you which the route will be. You don't even have to die. They're fucking crazy, Murdoch. I don't know why you're bothering talking to him. He's the only one here who's never killed. He never was good with blood. No, he wasn't. Then again, that method is too brutal for my taste as well. Murdoch, why aren't you saying anything? Probably because he knows you're a killer. He's known us his entire life, Mr. Ayers. You've known him less than a month. Wait. For once, his voice gets them to stop talking. I think that there are things that I deserve to know. Before you decide anything. Alfred shakes his head. We can talk after he drinks, or I shoot. Gretchen, on the other hand, looks slightly baffled. I'm sorry, but was there anything said that was not clear? I think you should have a pretty good idea about who you've been working with and what you've been doing. Some of these men knew about you, son. Some of them were going to kill you." Murdoch opens his mouth to speak. Then he closes it. He inhales. Then he exhales. "Just tell me why you were dumping bodies at the lake." For the first time, Gretchen looks surprised. "We haven't been." "Yes, you have. Sam and I saw them being dumped at night at the river, before the inlet, where the current is strong." He's talking about the disposal. Gretchen whirls on her husband. "What do you mean the disposal? We have the lime vat here for a reason." "He means the little ones." "Excuse me?" "The ones that I find in the tunnels." "Alfred, what the fuck are you talking about?" The old fox shifts uncomfortably. "It just didn't seem right, leaving them there, down in the dark." "Alfred." The vixen is staring him down. "We have nothing to do with them." "You had nothing to do with them." "I know." "So why in the fuck are you cleaning up other people's messes?" "It just seemed right. That's all." She looks at him as if he's grown a second head. "But why would you do that?" He doesn't answer. "But why would you put them there? Down there in that dark, dirty water? Seamus wouldn't have wanted that." I hear a hiss so sharp that I can't tell where it's coming from. "Yes, he would have." His voice is more unsettling now that he isn't yelling. "You think that you're so wise? You have the gall to tell me what your baby brother wanted, like you knew him better than me? Well, you don't. Your brother understood the respect that we owe to the dead. Your brother understood what it really meant to make sacrifices for your family, him better than anybody. He would scab his hands washing the floor, get splinters in his paws, laying posts, busting his ass and picking up slack while you and that lazy son of a bitch played with the instruments and probably yourselves." His whole body is shaking. "You think that you really knew him just because you took him fishing a few times? Because you gave him a few damn bottle rockets to scare the neighbors with? You think that if he were alive today, that he'd fuck around like how you fuck around with your life? No, he had a light in his eyes. That boy was going places. But you're going to stand there and tell me that you think that he'd be upset that I gave all those poor kids rest in the water, when you don't even realize that if he were with us today, he'd be embarrassed by you. Just like the rest of the family is." Murdoch doesn't say anything for a while. "Well, you wanted to hear the truth, didn't you, Murdoch? I hope it satisfies you." Alfred looks at his son. I can't tell what expression Murdoch is wearing from behind, but he looks like he's staring past his father. I doubt that he can make eye contact. Alfred gives a stiff nod, then turns away. "Dad." The way he says the word surprises me. He doesn't sound hurt or shocked. It sounds like he's phrasing it again as a question. "Why did you say bottle rockets?" What the fuck kind of question is that? "We only made bottle rockets one time." Murdoch's tone now sounds like his mother's. The mood in the air is different somehow. Something's changed, but I can't tell what. "What's your point, son?" "My point is, rockets weren't allowed in town. They were cracking down on the Easterners, so it was impossible to buy any. I never told you that Seamus had bottle rockets. And that's important because he did. Ralph made them." Gretchen isn't looking at her husband anymore. She's paying attention to her son. It might be the most attentive that I've ever seen her be towards him. "You were out of town. How did you know?" "What does it matter? I obviously misremembered. You hated them because you said that they reminded you of the war, We always had to hide them from you. Now Alfred looks like he's stuck. I never told you that Seamus had bottle rockets. Not once. Alfred, what is he talking about? He's confused. He can't even get the store inventory right. 5 copper rockets, 6 zinc, 3 potassium. None of us noticed that Ralph was in the doorway. There's more people down here? What have you done? Ralph. Yes, Miss Burns. Were there really no other sales of bottle rockets in town in the summer of 1905? There were not, ma'am. Had you ever made bottle rockets for either of my sons prior? I had not. She slowly nods. I believe you. I suspected that you would. Her lips thin. I never liked you, Ralph. The feeling is mutual, Miss Burns. But finesse recognizes finesse. Her lips grow tighter. She doesn't disagree. She's looking at her husband. Explain to me how you knew that our son had bottle rockets on the day of his death. It was just an assumption. You had complained to me day in and day out about the specific placement of store inventory over the last 20 years. I wouldn't have trusted you to do what we do if you were sloppy about details. Give me a reason, any reason, Alfred. Any reason at all for me to believe that you did not kill my son. He just stands there. He saw me with the old mayor. He was going to tell Alfred. He should have never been there. Do you mean to tell me that you killed my baby? Nobody speaks while they wait for his answer. Just listen to me. Alfred. Listen. I'm listening. He tried to run. He called out Gretchen. I meant to knock him out. So you were the one at the house? You were the one who knocked me out? You were supposed to watch him. Holly and I, always blaming others. Alfred's tongue hisses. You are always the victim. Did you forget you were told explicitly not to come to the house? Are you proud of what you made me do? Alfred, I told you to... A shot goes off. Blood splatters the walls. Alfred Burns has a blank look in his eyes as part of his brains still hangs from the side of his skull. Smoke blows out of the length of Gretchen's pistol. It takes longer than we expect for Alfred to hit the floor, but the impact sounds wet. You better be a pretty quick draw if you want to take the 3 of us down. Hardly. Everything that I've ever done has been for my family. But I just found out that he buried it 10 years ago. I think that some part of me knew that things had already fallen apart. But now that everything's up in ashes, I have to wonder if this is how things were meant to be. She lifts her pistol in the air. I never preferred killing like this. Like I said, the right kind of poison is gentler. Tidier. If you want to rush me so that you can take me to the sheriff, granted he's still alive, be my guest. I'll be looking for a priest regardless, since there's only one judge that I put any stock in. You can also tell the world about what you've found here, but I can't promise that they'll be understanding. Because I will make sure that you tell them everything. Or you could just walk away and let what's buried here stay buried. Either way, it's out of my hands. She points the pistol directly at my heart. Now go, before I change my mind. I walk backwards slowly. So does Ralph. Murdoch is still staring at the body of his father. I can't tell what he's thinking. But eventually he turns his back to him and to her. I presume that he's decided that she's not going to shoot him. Murdoch closes the door behind us. I want to ask him how he's feeling. But it's a stupid thing to ask considering what just happened. So I start to talk about what's next. Here's what I think that we should do. We rouse everybody who's still here. We lock the door behind us, and we head for the train station in the sunrise. Do y'all agree? That's what I'm going to do regardless. Do you understand that we're leaving tomorrow, Murdoch? I understand. No more poking around. I'm sorry if you didn't find what you're looking for. And I'm even more sorry if you did find it. That was ugly. It always has been. But being here only made them worse. I'm still certain of that. Leaving is the best idea. I'll tell you why if we make it to sunrise. Ralph has to give Jim and Neil another round of charcoal, but I help him drag their bodies upstairs. When Cynthia sees us, her eyes widen with terror, but she sighs a breath of relief whenever she notices Jim's diaphragm heaving. I see Blythe, Melissa, Reuben, and Dahlia asleep on the ground and feel a pang of jealousy. I still don't feel safe enough to sleep. I sit on the front steps of the school and wait until sunrise. The sky is foggy when the sun comes out, but tinges of gold peek out from behind the fog. The feeling like I'm being watched is gone. I hear somebody coughing. Jim rouses. What happened? You were both poisoned. Jesus. It was a canteen, wasn't it? Neil is sitting up. Yeah. He should have made it stronger. He'll wish that he had the next time that I see him. You won't. We might. He told us that he was headed for the train. I saw what happened to him. He isn't our problem anymore. Pray tell why. She looks to Blythe, whose eyes meet her gaze, and Melissa, fast asleep. Then she looks back to Jim. Because I saw him go somewhere that he won't be coming back from. Do you want to know the details? No. I didn't suspect that you would. Motherfucker. Did any of you see how that old hare came at me? If we had, we wouldn't have been passed out ourselves. You all passed out? Not by choice. Is it ever? They both answer yes at the same time. Now that everybody's awake, might I suggest that we leave? I don't wish to linger here any moment longer. We all agree upon walking to the station above ground. When we leave the school, I can't help but wonder about who knows about the bodies beneath the school. Who amongst us knows about the Hendricks family bodies? Who of us knows about the Burns family bodies? There isn't much talking in line. Not until Lucy speaks up. Did we ever decide where we're going? Once we reach the station, I mean. We walk straight on through the sand, kicking up dust for a while before anybody answers. Anywhere but here is fine with me. I'll be going as far east as soon and as comfortably as I can. Expenses be damned. Peyton is where we mean to stop. The madam said that she telegraphed for several rooms for us until we can figure out what we're doing next. Peyton isn't the worst idea. The wonderful thing about trains is that they have plenty of stops. You can all do as you wish. But I wouldn't be making any plans until you have your ticket and we move out of here. It's still too early in the morning when we arrive. The station isn't as full of people as I thought it would be. Either most of them got out yesterday or... I don't really want to think about it. I was just hoping to see more familiar faces. Mostly what I see looks like the faces of ghosts. Jim! Holly walks up, dressed in her ordinary clothes. Grandma Rowan stands close behind her, but keeping her distance. You look terrible. She's addressing him and only him. It was a hell of a night, Holly. The house was safe. Grandma knew what to do. You should come back and clean yourself up before you go. And risk my ticket out of here? I'm fine. Thanks. You should go too. That was the plan until you decided that you didn't want me to. You don't have to come with me to get out. You're educated and you're pretty. You'll do well elsewhere. I need support if I want to get out of here, Jim. You've always had money, so I know that you've never understood that. All of my connections are here. She turns to Murdoch, her voice incredulous. That's why Murdoch hasn't left either. Family has to stick together. I'm leaving too, Holly. What? I'm not living in this town anymore. I'm leaving. And where would you go? I don't know. And what would you even do? I don't know. It's well past the time for me to find out, though. We aren't children anymore. The train howls in the distance. I see it chugging towards us. If you think that I won't go to the press, that doesn't matter anymore. Oh, indeed? Murdoch walks up to her. He whispers something in her ear. Holly's eyes widen. Then she slaps him across the face. Liar! Murdoch rubs his cheek, then looks at his paw. Holly is heaving, her lips curl into a snarl. He turns his back to her. You lying piece of shit! She runs up and shoves him in the back. He stumbles to the ground. Then he gets back up. She runs at him again. I step between them. Then she stops for a moment. Get out of the way. I think he understands your message. I am not through. But I'm saying that you are. And who the fuck are you? Didn't you just say that families should stick together? Is that a joke? Am I laughing? She nods slowly. So you're the one who put him up to this, then? Makes sense. You look the type to bring him to his knees. I don't have much say in what anybody does. Oh, don't you? You think that he hasn't had dozens like you before? He chases experiences. What's he going to do when he wakes up and you're not there, He'll always have me. You're not the only one who's thought about this, Holly. As if that means anything. You were gone for nearly a decade. The door of the train opens up. And somehow I still have a better relationship with him than you do. No offense, Ralph, but you've never been handsome enough to leave an actual impression on him. Jesus Christ, Holly. But am I wrong? You're not the one who's making him leave. It's this stupid fucking brute. You really don't think that it could possibly be anything else? He raises his hands to the sky around him. Anything else? Nothing as big, no. Fuck. Okay then, Holly. I'm going to tell you something that I've wanted to say to you ever since that I first met you. Goodbye. He hops aboard, back hunched and his hands in his pockets. Jim and his friends follow next. Murdoch stares at the door of the train, then looks back. I still stand in between him and his sister and Grandma. Goodbye, Grandma. You know my number. Keep in touch. I will. Goodbye, Holly. Don't even think about talking to me again if you step on that train. Don't let somebody like him make you do something that you're going to regret. The only thing that I regret is waiting for my life to happen. I didn't mean to ruin anything for you because of that. Try talking to him again after all this has passed. I think he'll listen. Stop telling lies. Murdoch disappears into the train. Now all that's left is me. I can forgive a lot of things and a lot of people, Samuel Ayers. But if you get on that train, you alone I will never forgive. I suck in air, then feel a mixture of a sigh and a groan escape my body. All right. Here's some advice about threatening somebody. If you're going to do it, you need to matter to them. You, like your mother, have been able to do what you do because you did it to the people who cared about you. But me? I barely even know who you are. Have a nice life. If you can. I step onto the steps of the train cart and pass through the door. Murdoch has a window seat. Ralph sits beside him. I sit next to him. I think we've already said enough of what there is to say. Somebody walks up to us. It's Jim. I know you were planning to stop by in Peyton, but I have more than enough room on the East Coast. You could stay there for a while until you find employment. Accommodations would be far better than you're all used to, I assure you. I'm not sure. Jim puts his paws in his pockets and breaks eye contact. Well, with everything that, happened, I think that I understand why you would be hesitant. We'll consider it. I don't suppose the offer extends to us too? It wouldn't if you hadn't saved my life. It would be cheap not to repay the gratitude in some way. That wasn't a no, but it wasn't a yes either. Very well. I'll leave you to think on it for a while. To better days, then. Jim slips away, his tail bristling a little bit from the embarrassment. It's not a bad idea if it's not permanent. There's always work on the coast. I don't think Murdoch would be okay with that, though. I might be. I have a good while to think about it before the Peytons stop. Another pair of familiar faces shows up. Blythe sits next to me without asking. Her friend, who's still limping, sits across from us. Blythe shoves something into my paw. It's cold and round. Here's your money, as promised, mister. I unballed my fist. Staring back at me is an eagle coin. I think about all the work that we did at the general store. All of the boxes lifted. All of the photographs dipped in chemicals. How locking lips and rushing into a bed could have lost me time in my life, the kind of time so neatly weighed and expressed by material things such as this warm piece of metal in my hand. It's crazy just how holding it can compare to real work. The next person whose palm this slips into isn't going to feel all those real experiences. You know, it's funny. I had forgotten all about it. You saying you want me to take it back? No. That's what I thought you'd say. You ain't gonna need it yourself? I think that it would be hard for a couple of kids to get by without any money. Papa can meet us in Peyton. He was looking for work there anyhow. And I'm not going to wait around in an empty house. Not with an injury like this. The doctor in the tuxedo said that he could help, but I know it's not going to be free. Piece of shit. Then, how are you going to pay? I told Miss Burns to give me $200. My first thought was, which one? But that probably doesn't matter. I see Dahlia in one of the seats at the end of the train car. She's talking to Lucy and Cynthia. Are you serious? Should have asked for more considering it's a bargain for the silence. For some reason, she seems to think that this whole situation, she gestures to the landscape outside, is salvageable. Personally, I don't think so. But I did what I was meant to do here, as far as I'm concerned. There's something unnerving about the look in her eye, but she doesn't sit still long enough for me to think on it. Let's go check out the dining car, Melissa. You think that they'll have something good? No, but I'm hungry. The whistle blows. I feel the wheels of the train come to life. We're moving. There's still people outside the window. Granny Rowan looks back at us. She's not waving, but there is some look of satisfaction in her eyes that I don't quite understand. Holly looks back too. There is bitterness in her expression. But there is something else standing behind her. I blink to make sure that my vision isn't blurry, but I'm not hallucinating. But there's another white cougar. He's waving goodbye to me. He's wearing my clothes. And he's wearing a smile that's too big for my face. I shake Murdoch and his eyes open with a start. Murdoch, did you see that? See what? If you look real quickly, and we're already past the station. Shit. I don't see the point anyway. You know that your eyes lie here. But if you had seen what I saw, it felt like a threat. Sam, everything here is a threat. But it pushed too much. Took too much. Feasted too greedily. It's going to starve now that it can't get back what it lost. Maybe that's why it can't come on the train with us. So what? You think that we're gonna be safe now, just running away? He leans back and looks out the window. Safe probably isn't the right word. Then what is? Murdoch leans back in his chair, thinking. I speak again. You know, the whole reason that I went west looking for a better life. I always thought that if I could get away from that shithole down south, I could find a way to turn things around. But it just seems like one small town is just the same as any other. Evil is everywhere, man. Murdoch sits in silence for a while. He still looks like he's thinking. Maybe it is. But I don't think all evil is the same. He breathes in, then exhales. Once something is over, it can never be the same again. No matter how convincing the imitation. And that's the one thing that I think nobody on heaven or earth has any power over. It wants you back because it doesn't want it to be over. It wants me back because it doesn't want it to be over. Then once it's through and done with us, it'll look for what else is left. But without an economy, there isn't going to be any more. Without a life, there isn't going to be any more. So I raise a glass to its overwhelming success. The well of misery is tapped. There is no reason to look back. And what happened here can happen anywhere. But the important point still stands. The echo that I knew is no more. And it will never be again. No trick of the light can change that. I look outside the window again. The sky is pink now rather than red as we distance ourselves from the smoke and the fog. The sun peeks shyly over the mountains and the shadow of seguros bar the ground, taunting us like the light from prison cells. Murdoch, are you gonna be okay? I see something tall in the distance. Probably the biggest cactus that I've ever seen. He tilts his head. He's noticed that I'm looking out the window. No. But he looks away from what I'm looking at, firm. Unfazed. But I am going to be. For me, the easiest thing was always leaving people and places behind. The hard part was always finding the energy to keep on walking once you started. I know that's not the case for him. He had been betrayed by everybody close in some way. They stabbed him in the back in their special kind of way. Soft but stern enough to draw blood. Never deep enough to carve muscle. Sliced into a readily offered ink to dip their pens into. For writing in red to dictate why it was best for him to be grateful. Is it possible to leave behind a life like that? I had my doubts. I'm not sure that I could convince him that losing them was for the best. Some nights are much better than others. Ralph helped me wean him off of the harder times, but the screaming and the crying at night didn't always make things easier. Going on walks tended to help. Though I was surprised when he wanted to walk today. The beaches at the East Coast can show you nothing but sand and water for miles at a time. There's no rocks or cliffs that hold you back. It's just you, the land, and the water. I can't help but wonder how No matter where I ended up, there always seemed to be sand beneath my feet. I'm surprised you wanted to be here. My companion walks beside me. The cold of the foam washes our legs. Why? It sounds more like a rhetorical why. Considering you used to hate the water. He looks as though he expects more from me. I don't hate the water. It's hard to hate something that's everywhere. So, why did you want me to come out here? Because it's low tide. I wanted to feel the salt spray on my feet for once. He gives me a thin smile. Just kidding. There's something that I wanted to show you. Oh? It's a surprise. He keeps on walking forward. He never strides too far ahead of me. I don't much care for surprises. I can also tell that you're in a bad mood. He frowns. Bad mood isn't quite right. You're still thinking about them, aren't you? His expression sours. Thinking about who? Your family. You're my family. You know what I meant. Ah! The sudden surge of water makes me almost lose balance. Shit, this current is strong. He opens his mouth to speak. Then he closes it. He looks left to the horizon. It's blue and white as far as either of us can see. Holly called just the other day. I spit on the ground. Of course she did. Murdoch's ears perk up as he listens to the wind. He likes those calming noises. He said that they're helpful. I clear my throat. I'm surprised that you still talk to her. I don't. We walk some more for a while. Then, why are you answering her calls? Because she buried Mom. I'm starting to feel like the beach that we're walking down has no sense of time. I don't see other people. No boats in the distance either. She was the only one there left to do so. Where? Camp Rosa, next to Grandma. I grunt. That's surprising. Is it? A Seahawk flies past us. We wait for it to glide past us. I just figured that she'd want to be put by the school. Wasn't that her big accomplishment after all? I think she must have grown to hate the place, knowing what she knew. What had really happened there ever since its beginnings. Plus, there's something else I know. I heard a funny story. A wave crashes a little too close to me. I'm betting it's not that funny. You know, the funny stories I tend to prefer are the ones in the newspaper. With the quippy pictures. I heard the school burn down. I inhale. Then exhale. That sounds more like one of your funny stories, yeah. So, no shit? No shit. It really happened. I whistle. Damn. I put my paws in my pocket. So, did it happen close to when we left? No. This was about 10 years ago. The waves rush past my legs again. I'm too deep in thought to flinch this time. So, we both think that she did it, right? I don't know. Probably. But she was old even then. By far not the first old person that I've met capable of arson. Well, yeah. I mean, she was always more careful than she was reckless. I don't think that she'd like anybody poking around once it had been condemned. Though Dahlia tells me that the county plans to rebuild it. I can't imagine why, considering the population never recovered. She's still there too? No, she's in the capital now. But the government has her kept in touch. Something about cross-referencing her astronomy program for wealthier areas along the West Coast. But yeah, some people still live there. It's nothing like when we used to be there, though. What, you afraid to say its name? The fox hums. Maybe not afraid. Just not interested. Why? No reason. Have you ever thought of going back? I don't answer immediately. I don't think so. He stops walking. Why the hesitation? Well, I stop walking too. I just can't help but think about how there's still people there who I left behind. People who I'm not sure got out, I mean. If they did, there might be leads in Peyton. Maybe. Peyton's a long-ass way to go through to ask for people who folks might not even remember. Murdoch hums again. I thought you had contacts still. Not that many. What about the former HIP employees? I still don't know what happened to Harlan, though I imagine that meeting of the minds would involve catching the end of my crowbar than previous memories. Plus, Dora's gone, but she was old before we got old. Cynthia told me about the ceremony a few years ago. The brothel never really fully recovered in the new location. They don't seem like easy things to keep going. Not anymore, at least. People are less private nowadays. Seems like everybody's a lot less inclined to mind their own damn business. At least Cynthia's found work, though. Runs a bar. What kind of bar? The kind that she likes. More focused on new kinds of music. Sounds respectable. You think about going? Not really my kind of place. Would be nice to stop by if I had the time. I sort of miss the less respectable places that we used to go. My lips tighten a little. I guess there were some good parts. There were great parts, Sam. Is that why you like being stuck there again? You mean in the fantasies? Yeah. The fantasies. He frowns a bit. Sometimes it feels like time is leaving us behind. You keep me feeling young. Even though I'm a mean old man. He smirks. At least, I always know what you're thinking. Remember what I told you all those years ago? Before the disaster? He's looking at me real carefully. I can tell that this is important. You told me a lot of things. Would you be mad if I said I didn't? I mean in the tailor shop. Before the wedding. Vaguely. Again, that was a long week. He puts his arms around my waist, then rests his head on the crook of my neck. I was mostly going to apologize. I put my hand around his head and stroke him. You could be more like me and just do less of that. This one's important. I keep petting him. He pulls away again, slowly. Just listen, and then I won't talk about it again. He holds onto my wrists. I need to say this. Go on. He blows out a puff of air. Back then, I thought that I could put myself through anything if I found the right man to inspire me. I chased after you like I chased a dream. Sharing as much of myself with somebody I barely knew wasn't okay. Getting to know the real you made it feel like I wasn't floating anymore. That's part of why I don't hate being in or around the water anymore. Whether you believe it or not, I'm pretty sure that you saved my life. Waking up every morning feels like a joy rather than an obligation. Even when it's that hard. I know. But I don't know if you realize how much knowing that bothers me. He lets go of my wrists. I don't think that I can stand to be pitied. I rub the back of my neck, nodding. Most people probably get pitied for something or another. But I don't think that I could stand being pitied by you. If I trapped you into something because of guilt, it would make me no better than my father. I don't mean any offense by this. But you're not nearly as good at guilting me than I am at guilting myself. I know that we never really talked about it, but I had to kill somebody that I loved. Because he made me know that it was going to be either him or me. I know that it was an accident. Now know that what I had to do was self-defense, but it doesn't change the fact that it happened. And back then, I thought about doing it to you too at some point. So why didn't you? Because I needed you to. Who the hell else in this world was gonna do maths for me? He sputters. We both start laughing. It was meant to be just a little tease, but he starts laughing in a really stupid way that keeps me going. We try to stop several times, but it just keeps going. It's getting hard to breathe. I'm not with you because I needed somebody to save. It's because you make things fun. Especially things that have no right to be. I'll never get tired of you, Murdoch Burns. Even if I never want to hear another damn thing about cereal dilutions in my life. Now shut your yapping and come just a little further. Ayers? Did you bring the birthday lad? I sure did. Is that Ralph that I hear over the hill? Sure is. Did you pick the location then? That I did. If you wanted to give me a gift in person, you could have picked the diner. Wouldn't suit my needs. It's a remote location. Reminds me of all times. Worst times. No moping on your birthday. You're in the prime of your life. I'm 62. Not too old for fireworks, I hope. You made bottle rockets? It was because I was nosy as usual. Then I heard that your mom died. I knew that it would make all of those bad feelings come back. They do. I like to think that I'd forgotten them a little more each year. But when I heard Holly's voice on the phone again, it was like somebody painted the whole thing in my head again. It was vivid. It's like you're going to go back in time, but nobody asked if you wanted to be there. I unfortunately know what you mean. But then I got to thinking about the fireworks and the bottle rockets that you said Seamus never got to light. And that's, I remember the recipe. I mean the exact recipe. Sitting on a stone facing the ocean, we see a bottle rocket sticking out of a Coca-Cola bottle. The words scrawled on the side were "Goodbye, Seamus." I think that he's overdue for a proper send-off. Ralph hands Murdoch a lighter. Tears splash the metal. He crouches down and ignites a spark. The twine sparks and Ralph tells me to stand back. It goes into the sky with a whiz. I think that it's swallowed by the sea before I hear the pop, then see the first explosion of gold, then the crimson spiral that ends in a blue burst. It ends far quicker than I thought that it would. But Murdoch is still staring at the sea. If he needed a signal to guide his soul home, then I hope that he finds it. Murdoch shakes his head. The only comfort that I feel is that if he doesn't exist anymore, his soul can't remember what was done to him. If he only lives through me as a ghost, from this day forward, I will only remember him laughing. In an old manor in an even older neighborhood, a large funeral has just taken place. The esteemed physicist Murdoch Burns has lived to the age of 81, known mostly for his advancements in the theoretical and practical fiber optics technology. The last rites have been given. The crowd has dispersed. But a smaller crowd remains once the clergyman has left the building. An old vixen waits in the reception hall where the wake is held. Her eyes are occluded by the dark shades. The only part of her that isn't covered by clothing is her snout. A racket goes on outside of the front door. A young man guarding the front argues fastidiously with an older woman. Jim Sterling paces with some trepidation. "Hello, Jim." The silver fox flinches when he hears her voice. "Thank you for coming, Dahlia." In frankness, I wasn't sure that you would." "You need me before the end of the day." She looks to the front door. "You should let her in too. She had just as much right to be here as anybody. We'll need her before the end of the day." Jim scowls, then nods. "I'll wait for you in the car, Melissa." The black cat walks through the door, clopping in heels at a slim gray pencil skirt suit. She stares at the small crowd with one eye that her veil is in hiding. Finally, it rests on Jim. "If the deal is that we show up each time one of us dies, you need to keep your crackers in line." "Understood." "Regardless, I'm here. Drove halfway across the country to do it, but let's hear the reason." "Do you remember me, Miss Washington?" "Yeah. Even after all these years, I'd remember that scrawny ass anywhere." "The point is that we are among the few living people who have had a first encounter with an extraterrestrial. And now one of our members is diminished. In honesty, I don't think that he cared. He saw enough. He had enough. Now he's somewhere that it can't reach him. That's what we're here to check for. Is anything wrong, Blythe?" The cat looks at the molding and the state of the manor. "I see a lot of wrong, but not the kind that comes from supernatural. I need you to focus. We are dealing with a highly active force that can engage in physical and temporal displacement, induce psychosis, and pollute the very light that touches our skin. A thing that we know does not necessarily have to be limited to one space. Again, I don't see or sense anything. Though it's not like the things I do can just turn themselves on. They either happen or they don't. And considering that he's your brother, I think that you'd be bowing down to those stars that you worship out of thanks. Then I'll take this as a win. You're one step closer to paying off your debt, Miss Washington. As much as I like to bitch, I still would have come. That thing was not our friend. We're all still at risk while it lives. If we can call it alive. Even if it's not alive, it likely replicates through crystallization. Anyway, I'm going to be frank about what I think. I don't care about what's back in Echo. My best friend just died. The only reason that I'm here is that I'm making sure you put his body where he asked you to. I'm not sure why you think that you're the only one who cared about him. I didn't say that. But I'm going to make sure that you do right by him. I know about all the little favors that he kept doing for you in exchange for the shelter. You don't actually know as much as you think you do. Pick your next words carefully if you don't want to upset me any more than you have. I just need assurance on things. He wanted to be placed next to Sam. Are you going to respect that? Like Sam, he requested the cremation. We have plenty of space for him in the Sterling Mausoleum, next to the other ashes. That being said, none of us are actually his kin. Samuel had no close relatives, so nobody could get in the way of that decision. State law mandates that the relatives decide. All eyes turn to Dahlia. The vixen takes off her glasses and folds them into her hands. On behalf of Holly, she has recommended that his body be placed next to his mother in Camp Rosa. Of course. And on behalf of me, you can tell Holly to go fuck herself. Keep in mind that I can contest her wishes. I can delay her long enough to ensure that he gets his cremation. Whether or not they will default to her because she is the elder, I'm not certain. Like always, she expects to get her way with little resistance, which means that she made the mistake not to travel. Do with this information what you will. I'm going to say goodbye to him one more time, although I'd like to spend the night here. Have you prepared space for myself, Miss Washington, and Miss Boyk? Yes, I'll have the servants throw something together. Now, if you'll excuse me, I would like to mourn properly. There's a lot of drinking that I'd like to get through tonight. Jim Sterling awoke to one of the stronger headaches that he had had in his life. News from a servant announced Holly Burns' intentions to reclaim the remains of her brother. He found himself lamenting being old rather than the time ill spent. Although he worried for what would happen to his lands, with the consideration that he had never married and never had children of his own, he was at least relieved that she would have no say over the ashes of the only member of that family which he did love. Blythe Washington reported nothing strange that night near Murdoch's body, but a small pyre was constructed on the island within the hour of the announcement. After several days of ignoring the authorities, Jim Sterling said that a family friend had taken the remains of Murdoch Burns and Samuel Ayers. Ralph Walker was last seen leaving the country on a boat, sailing out to the sea. And that is the end. So what really quick thing that I need to address. They mentioned an extraterrestrial, and they mentioned a life form or something that I guess turned into like a crystal or something, and that would mimic people. So I'm wondering if they're talking about the echoes, and that is this story's way of explaining what the echoes are, that they're some sort of weird life form, which is kind of weird because I always saw it as it being something coming from the town, not like an alien. Yeah. Now, as to the ending itself, I did see Jim sticking around, like despite the fact that that he was sort of spurned by Murdoch, that his love was not returned, that that he still had a soft spot for Murdoch, despite the fact that Murdoch was in love with Samuel at that point. He still kind of like pined over him because like as the story at the end said, he's the only person that he actually loved from that family. Like he didn't really care for Holly Burns. In reality, the only reason that he was in that relationship was probably for like saying that like, oh yeah, he's straight, but he fell for her brother, and the whole little situation thing where he could mess around with the brother was like optimal for him. So like yeah. It's kind of funny. I wonder what Samuel thought about that, or like if he didn't really care, he was probably like yeah. I do like the whole little thing where Blythe also sort of like has this weird little power now where she can apparently see things, and while the smoke room is no longer connected to the Echo universe, meaning Echo and Arches, it does sort of give like a tiny little bit of a connection over to Arches, with Cameron being a person that is able to see things. And And also the whole little thing where if you consume a substance, you know, like with Cameron with weed and then like the psilocybin and some other stuff that he was exposed to because of Brian. And then with Murdoch and the poison, he was able to see essentially what was possessing Harlan, which I think it was pretty obvious that they were trying to make the connection that it was Hendrix the First who was possessing Harlan, and Blythe killed Harlan, who, and it kind of in its own sort of way pushed Jim Hendrix the First out of him and prevented him from killing, was it Melissa? So yeah. Also, it kind of seems like Melissa and Blythe are now together as like a couple. So like, yeah. Lesbians. So yeah, what else? It's 1 a.m. when I'm recording this right now, so I'm trying to keep my thoughts concise. Also, the whole Dahlia Burns thing. I'm pretty sure that she knows more of what was happening in Echo, but like, you know, she just never wanted to speak on it, I guess. I think she, along with Murdoch, were one of my 2 favorite characters from his route. And technically in general, because I kind of like not connected, or what's the word? Empathized, or like saw myself in Murdoch a little bit too, like family stuff and whatnot, obligations, and then like sort of feeling like, oh yeah, I'm fulfilling these obligations, but I don't feel like I'm like people appreciate that enough. But yeah, you know. Also having like that one person in your life who it's like they make it more bearable. But yeah. Thankfully I don't have parents who are murderers though. Just maybe a little emotionally unavailable. But yeah. And a sister who is a little bit higher up in the hierarchy. But yeah. What else? Oh, the vision, the thing that Samuel saw when they were leaving. I'm wondering if that was Echo's, like, I know Murdoch said that it was sort of like Echo threatening them. But I wonder if it was sort of like that is an echo of Samuel. And I know in all the previous literature of Echo, both fan and otherwise, and, you know, canon, a person dies in Echo and an echo is created of them, which is sort of like a ghost, but it's more of like a tool that is being used by the land in order to do what it needs to do to continue feeding. I'm wondering if because of what happened to Sam, it was able to create this sort of like echo of Samuel. Or if, again, if it was just an illusion, a trick of the light, as they say, because that's sort of like a theme with Murdoch's route. That was like the trick of the light, that the light in Echo is also poisoned by Echo. And I believe in Nick's route, it's more sort of like the sound that you hear, the sounds that you hear in Echo are also poisoned by it. And they're resonating with the town, and they're resonating with the large quartz deposit that is underneath the town. Ow. I wonder what's going to happen in Williams and in Cliff's route. And I also wonder how the story's going to progress in Cliff's route, because, I mean, they're not even in Echo anymore. They're in the reservation. And I suppose that it could be a good way to show how even when you're outside of Echo, you're still tied to it, and you're still sort of trapped in the spider web of the town. No matter how far away you get from it, you're always going to be tied to it in some way, shape, or form. Like even now in the ending for Murdoch, there's still this weird little thing that they're having to look out for as a person dies. But yeah. Anyway, so what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play the smoke room yourself and, make different choices or play different characters' routes, you can do so by going down to the link in the description, which have a direct link for the... Oh god, I don't know if it's an itch.io page or if it's the Subscribe Star page now, because this update was on their Subscribe Star. It wasn't on the itch.io page. I don't even know if they update that anymore. And yeah, like instead of a Patreon, it's Subscribe Star. So if you'd like to subscribe to their Subscribe Star to get earlier access to builds of the smoke room, because they're still needing the William route and the Cliff route to end it, or to get earlier builds of is it 13 Mile Hike? The one where it's sort of like kind of like Reddit stories, which I really like actually. And earlier access to the new visual novel that's like a kind of like a pirate thing. And if I recall correctly from what George told me a long time ago when we still talked, it was kind of like visual novel plus card game, where it's sort of like Slay the Spire in a way. I don't know if it's still gonna be that. But yeah. Anyways, so subscribe to their Subscribe Star and you get earlier access to that and see what's going on with that. Which it's like the same thing as Patreon, but it's a little more lenient when it comes to adult content or more mature content. Yeah, let's go with mature, not adult, mature. But yeah. Also, in case you want to support the channel, consider becoming a channel member, which gives you earlier access to these videos as they're being scheduled. This will probably come out 21st, 22nd. It depends on how fast I can edit this. It's the 18th today, but it's basically 1 a.m. So it's going to be what? Actually, is it the 18th? Was it the 17th yesterday? Okay, so it's the 18th today, which means I'm going to start editing it on the 18th. And I might finish in 2 days. So maybe by the 20th, by the 21st. We'll see. But yeah, channel members get to see it by then. And the whole public at large won't see it until the end of July, basically. Yeah. And if you can support there through YouTube, there is Ko-fi. Any form of support is appreciated, so give the video a like or subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I also have a throne, so yeah. Anyway, so enough rambling. I'm gonna go to sleep. Actually, I'm gonna go do the nightly routine, then go to sleep. So yeah. I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.